Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to this first press conference. I hope that it will be followed by many. I'm here for you and at your disposal. So it's our plan to hold regular press briefings. We've wanted to have this one shortly after the end of the general debate, and I think it would be appropriate to start with some assessment of the debate from my perspective. What I want to say is that it was for the first time since 61st session that we had all the member states and all the observers taking the floor. So we had 196 statements. We had 77 heads of states, 37 heads of government. We had 60 ministers, and the rest were vice presidents, deputy prime ministers, and so on. Out of curiosity, I may say that the longest statement took 43 minutes, was delivered by the president of the Observer State of Palestine, and the shortest statement took 5 minutes, it was delivered by the president of Lithuania. Lithuania. Yes. Now, the topics that were mentioned most frequently by the leaders from the podium: sustainable development, by more than 140 speakers. Climate change came second. Terrorism, nuclear weapons, and here the reference was made to the DPRK in particular. The issue of the UN reform was mentioned very frequently by many speakers, and then also the issue of migration. These were probably the most frequent topics, most commonly mentioned by the speakers. But there was also a significant reference to peacekeeping, peace building, and interestingly, a number of people spoke also about the new Cold War. From my perspective, I want to acknowledge positively the fact that the theme of the 72nd session, focusing on people in striving for peace and decent life for all on a sustainable planet, was in general well received by the speakers. Many of them referred to this theme. Some of them structured their presentations according to this theme, and they spoke positively about it. What I also found very important and positive was an overwhelming support for the United Nations role in peace and prevention, in upholding human rights, gender equality, the rule of law, and also the general support expressed for dialogue and for inclusivity as our working method. There was also very strong support for multilateralism. It was said by many speakers that we are stronger together. So this is, I believe, very appropriate for the United Nations statements. From my perspective, I was personally chairing some 20 hours of the general debate. And for the rest, I had members of my team in the room who were reporting immediately and directly to me. So I basically took part or am familiar with all the statements, which gives me a good feeling and good impression about the overall debate. Apart from that, I had close to 60 bilateral meetings, and I had some almost 30 speaking opportunities and at different side events. So we concluded the session, the general debate yesterday, but there is no break. We continue with the program of the 72nd session. Today we held the high-level event on the abolishment of nuclear weapons, and tomorrow and day after we'll have a high-level event on combating trafficking in persons. All 6 committees will start their work soon, and I plan to address all 6 of them at the beginning of their mandate to share my priorities with them. And of course, then we will proceed with the programs and with the priorities as we outline them. And I can repeat that what I see as particularly important issues for the 72nd sessions, there are 3. First, sustaining peace and prevention. So I want to focus more on what can we do and are not doing, what tools do we have and we don't use them, what tools are we missing, and we need to adopt them to prevent conflicts. And there will be a series of events dedicated to this agenda, and the highlight of the program will be a high-level meeting on sustaining peace and prevention in April next year. But I don't want to see this, and it won't be a one-off event, but it will be rather culmination of a process and still not end of the process. The second extremely important issue that will be very visible and dominating the work of the 72nd General Assembly is migration. As you know, we have been tasked, mandated to prepare the Global Compact on safe, orderly and regular migration that is to be submitted for the adoption in September 2018. We are now entering into the decisive phase of the process. After several rounds of informal negotiations, we will conclude this process of informal consultations, then switch into the second stage, which is a stock-taking process that will take place in December in Mexico. And then after New Year, we will launch the intergovernmental negotiations. That should lead us to the drafting and adoption of the text. I see this as an extremely important issue because, as you all know, migration, of course, is an issue that affects life of almost every citizen of this planet. Everyone has his or her personal experience, and United Nations as a global organization was asked to provide a global governance, global framework to address this issue. So therefore the expectations are high, and this will be also a very immediate first test, I would say, of the 72nd General Assembly already in September 2018. Being aware of the importance and sensitivity of this issue, I will be fully involved in the process. I will put all my political weight and authority of my office behind the process. I'll be chairing a number of meetings, and I'll be taking an active part in number of meetings. And I also use my bilateral meetings with leaders to draw their attention to the importance of this issue and ask them for their support. And the third issue that will be somehow very visible and linked to the 72nd session is the issue of UN reforms. So as you know very well, apart from the ongoing processes on General Assembly revitalization and the reform of the Security Council, Secretary General will present his 3 reform proposals on peace and security architecture, on development architecture, and on management. And then it will be, of course, for the General Assembly and for the member states to discuss. And I support this process and the plans for greater efficiency of the United Nations. So I see my role in generating the widest possible support from the member states for the Secretary General reform. Of course, there are many other things: implementation of Sustainable Development Goals, national reviews, reviews of individual SDGs, implementation of the Paris Climate Agreement. We will launch the Decade of Water for Sustainable Development in March 2018, and there are many other issues. I've mentioned these 3 in particular because all 3 are pending. All 3 are the issues that are important. There is no question about that. But we do not have a strategy to implement. We have to draft the strategy. So that's what makes our role, this 72nd General Assembly, particularly important on this. This is probably when it comes to the work plan. On other issues, I want to inform you that I have formed a team of external advisors. I've approached internationally recognized personalities, asked them to help me with my task pro bono. So it's not a paid position, but I want to benefit from a huge experience and knowledge of these people and to discuss the priorities of the 72nd General Assembly and to seek their advice from their perspective. There are 15 personalities. The list will be distributed to you in case you are interested, representing all 5 regional groups. And I shall meet with them several times during the 72nd session. And I really hope that they will provide a valuable input to my work and to my mandate. My final point is about transparency. I want to assure you once again that we are committed to the highest standards of transparency, and the office of the President of the General Assembly is already run under these highest standards. So I believe that you will find all the informations of your interest on our website. There is nothing we want to hide from you. In case you have any questions, feel free to ask about it, but I really believe that all the personal issues, financial flows, and all the other issues that might be of your interest are on the website already and will be, of course, uploaded on the website. For your information, I submitted my personal financial disclosure to the ethics office yesterday. It was before the deadline that I was asked to do so, so it's now being processed and assessed by the structures in charge of this issue. So this is probably what I wanted to share with you at this point. Thank you for your attention.